Welcome to Original Material. I'm Gemma Syme, and each episode I ask my favourite musicians to share 3 songs that blew their minds in high school, 3 words that describe their teenage selves, and 1 track every young person needs to hear today. Today's guest is someone who spent his childhood holidays rewiring his brain by looping Blink-182 and Oasis on a Philips Discman, learnt his first bass lines on a 1-string 1960s guitar, and his name is Josh Holmes. You'll know him best as Junus Orca, his solo electronic music project where he crafts deeply atmospheric, textured and visceral soundscapes. Today we're tracing his sonic roots back to Maidstone, UK. We talk about the 10-year-old grunge kid who first introduced him to heavy rock, obsessing over music videos on Kerrang TV and MTV2, and how a classic 90s club anthem directly inspired one of his own songs today. Josh Holmes, aka Junus Orca, thank you for coming along to Original Material. Very nice to have you here. What would be 3 words to describe yourself as a teenager?
Uncertain, certain, and hopeful.
Okay, tell me about certain and uncertain and that kind of dichotomy of push and pull. Like, why both of those things?
Because I think that I figured out what I wanted to do really early on in my high schooling.
Was it make music?
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of here.
But also, I think then not having a musical family and more conservative parents who, keep your day job kind of thing makes you uncertain about the future. So you're kind of like drawing this line of certainty and uncertainty. You know what you want, but it's layered with anxiety because you are told, and it's fair enough to you are told you can't really do that, especially with post-war parents,
Because where did you grow up specifically?
I grew up in Kent, in a town called Maidstone in Kent, which is pretty close to London. Like heaps of music. Like Maidstone's a pretty big town. There's like loads of clubs. When I got older and started playing in bands, there's a scene. So it wasn't like, in my head, it wasn't a ridiculous idea that you could make a living from doing music. Obviously, it's kind of changed now in the sense that, when I was that age, it's like, I'm going to be playing Glastonbury. I'm going to headline Glastonbury 5 times. Obviously, like I realised that it's kind of, what you want kind of shifts and changes. But yeah, it didn't seem like an unrealistic thing to want to do music or even be in a band and be a successful band,
But it was the parents that were kind of like, wow, what about the stability?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And I think that, there's no one, like I went to a pretty like sporty school as well. I grew up pretty sporty. My brother's pretty sporty. My dad was very sporty. I was sporty for a long time too. So I think it's just like having the guide to kind of be like, yeah, this is actually, these are the realistic pathways that you can take. But I think that how my brain worked at that time anyway, like I was like, I can't, like even if it was like learning about something to do with music that wasn't just playing it, I would be like, nah, that's not it. I need to be doing the exact part that I want to do all of the time. So yeah, I was probably too stupid to really, just even if someone suggested, hey, what you could do is you could go and do this, or you could go and like work for other people. I was like, no way, man.
Like work for other people in the industry.
Well, yeah, like make music for other people, like, or teach music, or like, whatever, just work in a job that's like, around music in some capacity, radio, whatever it is, I think that I would never, it was always just really black and white for me, that I was just like, that's what I was going to do. And there wasn't another option. So actually now I'm saying that maybe it was a good thing for my parents to be like, well, what you should do, figure to do something else maybe.
Did seeing the bands that you've chosen will give you an idea that you could be a musician full time?
Well, obviously, like looking at the bands, they're more like, that age, it's more like the playing and the touring and the shows and the recording is the stuff that you want to be doing. But they did inspire a possibility in the sense that they were just normal people, like relatable. All things, and all of those people I've chosen, they were pretty relatable people. I don't know them personally, but the way that they were presented was very relatable, and I was just, that seems like me and my friends. Like I can. What's so special about that? I love it, but I can do that at maybe too, you know?
How did you discover new music in high school? How did you discover your music? Was it through your friends, or was it?
There was a kid that actually joined my, like in the UK, you start secondary school or high school for the majority of places from year 7. So you're at age 11, 12. So you're in school with like, 11 through to 18. So it's like big wide range of ages. However, like I think what it kind of informed the musical direction of stuff that I liked and how I found stuff was this guy actually joined my primary school who was like, he called himself a grunger like all 10-year-olds should. And then he kind of exposed me to bands like Korn and stuff. And then he was watching this TV channel called Kerrang a lot in the UK. And then I watched Kerrang. I listened to a lot of pop music, obviously, prior to this kid showing up and being like, look at all this, like, look at Slipknot or whatever. And then through Kerrang, I then, discovered more pop adjacent rock bands, your Sum 41s, your Blink-182s, and that kind of like led me onto that path of like, the relatability. It's like poppy, like what you liked before you liked, but now it's distorted and they're, kind of a bit more wacky in terms of their characters and stuff. So a lot of the time it was music television I would discover stuff on initially.
Was it a separate channel or was it like a late night program? I can't, like M2, Juice TV, but that was an actual channel of music. So was it like a full-time channel or was it just at certain times of the day?
Yeah, we had like as well, like, in the early 2000s, there was Top of the Pops. And so like, I'm just using, I don't know, Blink-182 as an example here, but they're at that sort of level where they would play Top of the Pops. Their records would be, at the top of the commercial charts, or like around about, so they would play on this show. So sometimes I would hear something across there that would, be like, oh, that's unexpected. I wouldn't like everything on it because, as I said, my direction was very much like, I like rock music now. But yeah, or just like, like MTV2 was like in the late 90s and early 2000s, like we had Sky. And I would literally watch it all day. Yeah, just I wouldn't even know who it was in the bat, or I've missed like the title that comes up at the start, and it would just be how I discover music, and then I might not hear that song again for like ages, and I won't be able. There's no way to like look it up.
No Shazam.
Yeah, no Shazam, or like I just remember. Yeah, I remember a few times like, and I would discover a song like way later, and I'm like, oh, that's that song, and I never just heard it again.
Was there anyone on Kerrang that like had a show that was of your taste?
There was more just music videos. I don't know if MTV still exists, but when it was cooler, it had like the kind of documentaries. When it was an artist that aligned with my music taste, that was, an inspiring factor that kind of led me on to, I guess in a way, because in those documentaries, they'd be citing like if they're making a new record that's perhaps like, they used to do this thing called MTV album launch, where they would pick a band and they would follow them for like however long the cycle of an album. And, often when they're recording an album, you would find out the artist, what they're trying to cite as their own influence. Like they'd be like, oh, what's that, what's that like 80s song, or like, what's that Cure song? They'd be like referencing it, in the writing, and I'd be like, oh, like I haven't heard that band before. What are they referencing? I'll go and listen to that other band. And then it's just like, it keeps kind of branching off and going from there,
Well, that leads quite nicely into Plus 44. Is it Plus 44?
Yeah.
Oh, I was a bit nervous saying that one. Plus 44.
It's the dialing code for London.
For the UK.
Yeah.
Didn't know that until I did a little bit of research. Very interesting, because do you know the story of why it's called Plus 44?
I think it's because the members thought of the name when they were in London, maybe perhaps on their previous band's tour. I can't remember. It was something like that. Was that what you...
What I saw is that Mark and Tom, no.
Mark and Travis did Plus 44, yeah.
Yeah, so they were in London when they decided to start making music without Tom. And so that's why they called it Plus 44, because it was in London or the UK when they did it, but that was the moment of the kind of split between the Blink-182 members. The reason why I thought it was a nice lead on is because when I was reading about Chapter 13, they talked a lot about the influences and the different sounds between Plus 44 and Blink-182. So break down Chapter 13 and Plus 44. Tell me, why is it influential? Like,
I've obviously mentioned it already, like Blink were like one of my favourite bands. They had a hiatus that formed in, 2005 or something. And at that time I was kind of too young to be sort of out and about and going to their gigs. So, as you mentioned, Tom had a separate band, and then Mark and Travis had a separate band. So it was like, initially it was like, oh, I'll get both of those albums on CD because I'm not going to get a Blink album, so I'll listen to, both of them. The song Chapter 13 was on their record, their only record they ever released. When I first listened to the record, like, it wasn't like I really picked up on that song. I listened to the whole record, but I was, listening for the singles. But yeah, I don't know, the song itself was just like, it was just a beautiful ending part of the song, and I would go back again and just keep listening to that song.
So the song is Chapter 13.
Chapter 13, yeah, which is the last song on the record. But yeah, I would just go back and listen to it over and over again. There was a part on the end that I really liked that kind of reminded me of the end of a Blink record in the way that the drummer would just kind of just play whatever, and it sounds like really, really all over the place, and it just had this kind of like, I don't know, this kind of like raw kind of expression vibe that I hadn't really seen in music before. Like, I mean, like Blink was always very polished. The other project that the singer Tom DeLonge did was very, very polished. And I found this record, it was a bit more, for the stuff that I'd been exposed to at the time, was more raw. And I think that this song sort of captured that. And I couldn't tell you why, like it gave me a feeling at the age that I heard it. It just did. And obviously that's further in still. This was the first band that I ever saw live, a proper band I saw live at Brixton Academy. There's that memory tied to it too, seeing it played live, and they always played it last live as well. So yeah, I think it's just a great song. At the age I heard it, I couldn't tell you why it really, really got to me in a certain way. There's just like,
was it the guitar? Was it the lyrics? Was it the general feeling of the song?
Yeah, just maybe the overall feeling of the song. It just like, I mean, I probably wasn't conscious enough to sort of fully understand it, but it felt, I don't know, in the singer's voice, maybe like a bit of despair or something. Melancholy is a thing was always a thing in Blink's music, but this one more so. It's kind of like, in a way, it's like got a mostly major feeling progression, but then like his vocal, I mean, I'm saying this now in hindsight, having music theory knowledge, like his vocal kind of glides over the top, and it has that, subtle kind of melancholy where he's maybe singing like a minor progression over a major feeling chord progression. Yeah, it sounds, I just love it, yeah.
Do you think there was something going on at the time, being a teenager, seeing your first gig, having feelings of teenagers that kind of made it resonate with you so deeply?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the concept of the song, I can't remember when I figured this out, but it's referencing Dante's Inferno.
Chapter 13?
Chapter 13, or Canto 13, or whatever 13 is in Latin, I have no idea. But yeah, chapter 13, where like the people who commit suicide are then reincarnated as like trees.
Whoa.
Yeah, there are like harpies, which are like weird, I guess like demonic angel eagle things, like picking away at their limbs as trees and stuff. Yeah, this is in Dante's Inferno, and he's kind of walking through it and seeing all of this. I mean, not that I was saying that I was suicidal, I don't think I ever was, but I think that I can't remember when I figured out about that concept, but yeah, I mean, it did speak to me in that sense. Yeah.
How old were you when you went to that gig at Brixton? So the Plus 44 gig, your first gig ever. What was the experience of that night like?
I think I was like, I want to say 14 or 15. I can't remember exactly, 14 or 15. When you're a lot smaller, places seem a lot bigger, you know? And I'd never heard music on a sound system that big. After that gig, me and my friend who I used to go to all the gigs with when I was young, we'd always talk about like the Brixton bass, just because we'd never felt that like rumble from the subs before. It's like, you know,
Brixton bass!
Yeah. Well, it's just
so
because,
good.
you know, when you haven't been to like a big gig, I mean, we'd, been to like local gigs where they just have like two small PA sticks, it sounds screechy as hell. When you're playing hearing music on like a huge rig, it's like, whoa, it's quite, at that age, you never felt anything like that in your chest. And I think that, yeah, it was an overwhelmingly cool experience, just being there with all the people and seeing as well, like, obviously I loved Blink and everything to do with them at a young age. And then seeing other people there who were older than me, who obviously had that same thing, wearing like, all the artists' clothing brands or the merch or whatever it was. It was like, there's like, these are my people.
My people.
These are my people. They exist,
Okay, I think this leads us very nicely into the big one, Blink-182. So your second song, Blink-182, formative band, the track Down. Now, of all the Blink-182 tracks that you could have chosen, why did you choose Down?
Well, I think we've kind of gone in a funny order here in a way, because obviously the Plus 44 song came after this song in a way, in terms of the time that I heard it. Why did I pick this one? I haven't realised it at the time, but I know now that this very much has informed like how I write musically. It almost feels like an empty song. Like nothing, it's not grabbing you really. It's not forcing you like a big hook or a melody. It just kind of glides through for like 2.5 minutes or however long it was. Yeah, and again, I think that the time that I heard it, a lot of the music I'd heard had to be like instantly catchy. Again, I'm not saying this isn't catchy, but hearing a song compared to this, like All the Small Things or something, it's like, it's basically a pop song, and this is a pop song in a sense, but it doesn't rely on the same sort of motifs that a pop song has. And I think that, so you don't have to just be loud all the time. You can be like more subtle.
Yeah, most of the bands of Blink-182's appeal was kind of in their immaturity and their humour. But do you think that vulnerability, when packaged like the song down, made it easier for you as a teen to like feel all the feels? Like I've got this sort of like an armour of all this humour and immaturity, but then I can also have these sorts of feelings as well. Did you feel that when listening to this kind of song?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think before that, I think as well, with the people who wrote the song, you kind of, in a way, follow them with what they're doing emotionally in music. If you're, because now you listen to like heaps of music, but when you're young, you pick. I don't know. For me, I pick one thing, and that was basically be all I listen to. That's my thing. It's Blink or whatever. But yeah, so they would be, all the records are really happy and upbeat, and then they open themselves to feel something. I mean, even in the song Down, it's quite an easy concept, really. It's not like that deep in terms of the lyrics, but I think just the way that it was delivered was something that made probably me open up a little bit more emotionally, which then bleeds into how I wanted to make music too.
When was the first time you heard Blink-182?
It was, I mentioned it before, that guy came to my primary school. I think that through that we discovered Blink. Me and my brother, he bought the first Blink record he bought was this record, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, and then
such a good name.
I know.
Wow.
It's so stupid. But yeah, and then I took that record later, and I just I remember on a holiday we went on holiday as kids, I think in like Crete in like 2002 or something, like just before I started high school, and yeah, I just remember having the CD Walkman and just playing that whole record non-stop, and that's really what solidified that this is my band.
Was it on a Discman?
Yeah. It was like I don't remember the brand of it. It was like a Philips Discman. I put it in there, and I had all my CDs. It was actually that on that holiday. It was that CD and What's the Story, Morning Glory, Oasis, just like back to back all the time. Yeah,
classics.
Yeah,
absolute classics. So you were making music as a teen.
Yeah. Were
you learning these sorts of songs to sort of figure out how to play?
Yeah, I mean, like Blink were the first songs that I learned on guitar, really. That was like when I hadn't played an instrument before I started secondary school or high school. So yeah, I would have been 11, and then I figured out that they had guitars that you could use in their music rooms, and obviously the first thing I wanted to do was play a Blink song. I actually picked up bass first, and Blink songs are usually very, very easy to learn, but yeah, even when I started high school and started playing, the record that Dan was on wasn't even out yet, but there were these two other guys who were a year above in the music room who also really liked Blink-182, and they knew a few songs from some of the records, and I would be like, wow, that's amazing, how did you do that? And then I learned how to read tab, and I have a distinct memory of learning Stay Together for the Kids, the Blink song.
Can you sing it?
It's like, I can't sing it, but it's like, it's got the chorus, it's a really heavy chorus, like, so here's your holiday, hope you enjoy it this time, I'm
going to try to get everyone to sing.
But yeah, my dad had this old guitar from like the 60s or something, and it had like one string on it, and I wanted to play the bass for some reason. So I don't know if it was in tune, but I learned how to read tab because it's just the numbers, and I would just like look at it and I'd just play it on this terrible guitar.
Got to start somewhere.
And the only time the bass came in was really easy to learn for, well, what I thought the only time the bass came in was the chorus, and it was just like 3 3 3 3 3 3 3 3 2 2 2 2, and I was like, oh yeah, great, I can probably figure that out.
All right, we're going to do a bit of a turn away from Blink-182.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we're really on the Blink buzz. God,
what?
Classic me.
Formative.
Yeah.
Like important. So
yeah, I wish I could lie and say I was really into really cool electronic music as a teenager, but I really wasn't. I really just like Blink-182, and that's what informed everything, really.
Well, Robert Miles, pretty amazing track, Children.
Yeah.
Is your third song that you've chosen Tell me a bit about this song.
I mean, like, I think the first time I ever heard it, it was probably actually prior to my high school years. But this is a song that just came back up multiple times because I would just hear it on the radio.
Can you do the line?
From that?
Everyone, like, if anyone's heard that, they'll know the song.
Yeah.
They'll absolutely know the song.
I think
huge.
Like a really great little piano hook. I don't know. I never really heard. I'm only thinking about it. It's electronic now, but that was obviously really the first probably electronic song that I ever engaged with and continued to engage with. And the reason I put this down for when I was a teenager was I remember when I got like an iPod for the first time. Like I had like an old like because you used to like get your CDs and then upload them to iTunes and then I don't know, sync it to you. But I had the Robert Miles song on like one of the Now. This is what I call music CDs, which I used to get every year as a kid, and I put that on there, and it was one of the songs on my iPod. And I didn't have that much room on it, so it was like mostly Blink-182 related stuff, but also this song was on it. But yeah, it was really ethereal.
Yeah, dream trance.
Yeah, dream trance. Yeah, and I think as well at the time going on holiday to, I mean, it's very cheap to go on holiday to Europe from the UK where I was born, but it was cool because you go there and like the bars and stuff in the 2000s would always be playing like kind of Euro trance, like, you know, what are those songs that are big around ATB, like, you know, ATB?
I think Better Off Alone. And Better Off Alone.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's like all that kind of Euro trance stuff was playing, and yeah, so I think that it kind of associated. It had the association of being on holiday in Europe too, which was a nice thing. But the first electronic song I probably ever really liked, and I still think it's one of the best electronic songs ever written now.
Why?
Well, I actually revisited this song probably again in like 2017, having not listened to it for a while, and I found on SoundCloud someone had done a remix saying R.I.P. And I was like, what? Like, it was like a trap remix. I seen on SoundCloud and it said R.I.P. Robert Miles, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, what? So I went and looked up and he'd died. And I was like, and then it had this other thing after. I was like, wow, that's such like a beautiful song. And also, I didn't know much about the guy. I just think it's like, yeah, something happens when someone dies and then you've liked music or been exposed to the music before. It kind of makes it godlike in a way, you know?
Yeah. Who were the people at your high school who were listening to this kind of music? Was anyone?
No, I don't think so. I think that was a very, like, as I said, there probably were people listening to it. Like, we had like people would listen to electronic music, but there were people that I wouldn't probably associate with because, you know, you have your little groups at high school. So I wouldn't probably tell people that I was listening to this song. Do you know what I mean? It would just be, yeah. And I don't know if there was a group of people listening to this kind of music. There must have been somewhere, but remember like people listening to drum and bass, like the kind of chavs and stuff, like, but I was like, oh, I don't want to be a part of that, you know. Was
there like an internal conflict because you're like, I'm a guitar boy, but I'm listening to this Euro trance or dream trance?
For sure, yeah. I mean, there was always an internal conflict with me because I was supposed to be like, I was really good at sport, but also I couldn't, in my head, I wasn't allowed to be associated with sport if I was into rock music. And then similarly as well, this is the type of person I am. It's like pigeonholed. It's like, you know, I'm an emo, I'm a rocker or whatever. Like I don't like electronic, I don't listen to that. That's not cool. It's just this that I listen to. This is my whole life and personality. What do you think teenage Joshy would think of now Joshy making electronic music and DJing and all of that sort of stuff? Yeah, I think about 10 years ago, I think that young Joshy wouldn't have liked that Joshy because I was doing the same thing. I'd change, you know, I wouldn't say I'd ever, like if you asked me to do this podcast and you asked me what song, I would have lied. Probably I would never have told you the Blink thing. So I think that they would have respect for me that I've come back around and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I do really love that kind of music. Like I was listening to it for years and I still listen to it now. But I think that, yeah, they would like the fact that I've kind of be still incorporating, you know, the electronic stuff that I liked, like this Robert Miles kind of song in my sound. You know, initially when I started doing the project Junus Orca, I didn't really incorporate this kind of more commercial electronic stuff into my sound. But as time went on, I think I have incorporated it. So I think now they'd be more, impressed that they're getting a more rounded version of me that incorporates a little ute and the 34-year-old person. Yeah, cute. Has the melodic structure taught you
anything that you use in your music today? Just kind of thinking about that sort of thing, like that song in particular.
Yeah. There is, yeah, absolutely. I'll say this because it's funny. Have I already told you this story before?
I don't know.
Maybe.
You haven't. Yeah, maybe.
I teach music, and I use Robert Miles' Children as a way to teach people about like melody writing, and I was using that melody and then to show them, and they were like, I think they were like filling in the gaps of the piano melody or something with the Tell kits, and then they would fill in the gaps with the notes on Ableton or Logic or whatever they were using. And I had the session up on my computer, and I went home, I was just looking at the melody, and I just started like shifting the notes around and changing the key, and I was like, wow, that's a great melody, kind of loosely inspired by that, but it did actually start as that melody in one of my own songs. So it's not sampled, it's just very heavily inspired by the melody in this song, kind of that song, and combined with maybe like a 4-tet track or something. But yeah, what the song I'm talking about is a Junus Orca song called Bored of Waiting, which does, in a way, it's like basically my ode to Robert Miles. Even though it's a different type of song, it has that kind of piano line in there that is heavily inspired by that.
Wow. Cool.
Did you know that?
No,
right.
I had no idea.
This is what you'll be like, oh yeah, that's nearly the same thing.
Yeah, I hear that now. Fun fact, the Robert Miles track, he wrote that to play at the end of his set because...
Oh yeah, I've heard this.
In Europe, when he was DJing, I think it was Italy, they'd call it the Saturday night slaughter because people would get so high at raves and stuff, and they'd be so hyped up that there'd be so many car crashes on the way home. So he wanted to write a song that would chill people out before they left the club.
Yeah,
that was that song.
Yeah.
Also inspired by seeing pictures of the Yugoslavian war, like children in the Yugoslavian war. So filled with emotion.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I forgot about that fact about so people sober up before or chill out before they drive home or go home or whatever. But yeah, it's a very soft and smooth song. You take away the kick drum, and you've got almost like an orchestral piece.
Okay, thank you for talking about those 3 songs from your past. Now, if you could recommend one song to teenagers now, what would it be and why?
Right, that's so hard because, as I say, I think teenagers are just like so in their own realm of. I would want to reference them something that they would actually pick up and listen to, because if you give them something so whack, they're like, whoa, what the hell is that? To be honest, though, I think that. What's a song? I can't even think of like a modern song.
How about a song that you would recommend to yourself? Does that make it easier?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a song that I recommend to myself.
As a teenager, like your teenage self.
What would have sent me on a completely different path? Probably the ambient stuff, like the real ambient stuff, because I think, naturally as a teenager, well, actually, this would be a reference to anyone. I think with a busy brain as a kid, I think that ambient music can be like super helpful. I listen to so much ambient music now. So, in terms of the ambient music that I'm listening to, like, I don't know, an artist I love is Malibu, and that she has some beautiful ethereal stuff that kind of references, in a way, like Eurotrance. It feels like a stretched out version of that. So yeah, maybe the Malibu song Camargue, which I'm not really sure of the French pronunciation because I can't speak French. It's like, I think it's like Carmague, Camargue or something like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful song, just ethereal, and I think that it really takes you out of your own head. So really that, or just like any ambient music to stop your mind being so crazy.
Ocean sounds.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know I liked ambient music then. It's like, but I think the areas of the songs, that a lot of the songs that I've suggested as well, there is like a overarching kind of ambience that sort of exists beneath them.
It's beautiful. Well, thank you very much, Josh Holmes, aka Junus Orca.
Thank you very much, Gemma Syme, aka Instant Fantasy, aka Instant Finance. No.
I'm just dishing out the cash at the moment. Right. Dishing out. All right. But yeah, thank you. Next time on Original Material, we are jumping from the electronic underground of Autotahi straight into the 2000s Wellington indie underground as I sit down with Matt Beauchamp Buck, aka BB Gun. Matt is a true multidisciplinary man, currently working as a UX designer over in Amsterdam, but famously known back home for his songwriting, production work, and performing with infamous local projects like Holiday with Friends, The Short Shorts, and Tommy Ill. so make sure you listen in. In the meantime, remember that the Wet EP remixed by Instant Fantasy drops via Sun Return, and you'll definitely want to listen out for the incredible cover version of one of the songs by the Short Shorts. Hit subscribe, leave us a review, and until next time, stay tuned.